The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve.
Yeah.
It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Perry, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of Parquet Margarine and a complete line of famous quality food products. Now let's peep into the world of Summerfield and see what goes on there. It's Thursday night, not Saturday, but a familiar commotion upstairs over Floyd Munson's barber shop leads us to conclude that the Jolly Boys Club is assembled there.
Let's get started, huh?
Let's have order, please, gentlemen.
Nobody wants order, Judge. We're trying to organize a poker game.
We have a request from a member, Gildy, for a brief business session.
What member? What business?
Yeah, we never do any business.
Floyd Munson has made the request, Chief, and I feel we should honor it. Mr. Munson, you something to bring to the attention of the club?
I'll say.
Address the chair, and you may have the floor.
Address the chair, and you may have. Who made him chairman anyway?
Please, Gildy.
Mr. Chairman, fellow members, I'll say what I gotta say, and you can take it from there. And I might say before I start, I'm sorry to have to bring this up at this time. The club rooms here belong to me. Of course, the bank's got a piece of it, but the building's in my name. And the wife's.
All right. What of it?
Order. Continue, Floyd.
Well, I've been letting the club use the place. Glad to have you, but something's come up. Day before yesterday, I had a chance to rent it.
Rent it? Who'd want to rent this dump?
Well, it was a young fella and a girl. Just married. What do they care where they live? Anyhow, they offered me $20 a month.
That's a lot of money for this place, Floyd.
Inflation, Chief. That's what it is.
Well, the OPA said it was okay. I figure I can't afford to turn it down.
You gotta turn it down. This is the Jolly Boys' headquarters. You can't rent it to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to go on a honeymoon.
Well, I was talking it over with the wife last night, and I told her that. I said, Lovey, the fellas won't like it. The club's been a second home to them.
What did she say, Floyd?
Well, there's no use going into that. To her, $20 is $20, at least. But now if the club was to pay me rent, why, naturally, I'd be glad to have you fellas stay on.
Oh, so that's it. You call yourself a Jolly Boy, Floyd? You're a hold-up man, that's what you are.
If I may step from the chair for a moment. Gildersleeve, you're being ridiculous.
Get back in the chair.
Let's just look at this thing sensibly. We're asking Floyd to give up $20 a month so we can have a club room. Is that the way for Jolly Boys to treat each other?
I know, that's terrible.
That's all there is to it. We've got to reimburse Floyd for the use of the club rooms. I now resume the chair.
Old goat.
Do I hear a motion that we reimburse Floyd for the use of the club room? Won't someone make the motion?
I'd be willing to make it.
That's illegal and unconstitutional. Listen, fellas, there's only 5 members in this club. Do you realize we'd each have to pay $4 a month dues?
Many clubs charge even more.
Not for a drafty room with a kitchen table and a busted piano.
Oh, it ain't a bad piano. The Elks don't have no piano at all.
The Elks have 2 pool tables.
Sure, when they pay dues, they get something for it.
Well, if we had more members, the dues wouldn't have to be so high.
Say, you might have something there, Judge.
Don't be childish, Floyd. When you ask people to join a club, they expect to get something for their money.
Like a pool table. Couldn't you get hold of a pool table someplace, Floyd?
Pool tables cost a lot of money.
I know who's got a pool table. Maybe he'd be willing to join the club and let us have it. Then we could put on a real membership drive.
Well, who's got it?
Your friend and neighbor, Gildy, Rumson Bullard.
Has Bullard got a pool table? No fooling?
It sure would be nice to have a pool table right in your house. That's my idea of living.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether Bullard's got one or not. Have you seen it, Horace?
Oh, I assumed you had. Haven't you ever been in your rich neighbor's house, Gildy?
On numerous occasions, but I never saw any pool tables.
Well, a pool table's pretty tough to hide. Ain't like a day bed, you know.
No. He might have a billiard room in the basement.
A playroom, probably. Lots of people have playrooms down in the basement right there with the furnace, I hear.
Well, why don't we look into it? You drop over there tomorrow, Gildy, and see if he wants to join. Then ask him to lend us the pool table.
Why me?
It's for the Jolly Boys, Commissioner. Sounds like the only way we can hold the Jolly Boys together.
Well, if you put it that way, but I'm not very anxious to call on Rumson Bullard. He's never been particularly friendly.
That's probably because you never got to know him. Down underneath, he's probably a swell fella.
It's not easy to get to know rich people, Chief. They're always afraid you're going to get something out of them.
Like a pool table.
Well, I'll see what I can do. Now, for heaven's sake, let's get our minds off money and play a little poker.
Why don't you go see him tomorrow night, Gildy, and then come down here and report to us?
All right.
Okay, everybody, ante a nickel, deuces and one-eyed jacks are wild, and no cheating till you're down to your last dollar.
Howdy, Bullard. Remember me? Gildersleeve.
Oh, yes. Come in, won't you?
Well, thank you. Can't stay. I have to get downtown, but I thought I might just pay a neighborly call.
I'm glad you did. Wife's gone to New York for a few days, so I'm all alone here. With Craig, that is.
Oh, yes, Craig. Remarkably attractive little boy, Craig.
Yes. He's gone to bed, I'm glad to say. Why don't we just come into the library, Gildersleeve, as long as there's only two of us?
Library? Fine. I've never seen it.
Just down the hall here.
Well. Books.
Yes, I've accumulated a few volumes. Sit down. Have a cigar?
Thanks, but here, try one of mine. 3 for half.
No, I insist. I have these made up for me in Havana, if you like a mild cigar.
Say.
Light?
By George, that's a real cigar.
Yep, makes nice smoke.
Gold tip, yes.
Yes, indeed. Well, care to look at some of my first editions? Or perhaps you're more interested in fine printing, bindings, and that sort of thing. Are you a bibliophile?
Oh, you bet I am. I belonged to the Book of the Month for several years.
Well, I've got yes, I have a few nice items here. Let's see here. Here's something, yes. Milton's Paradise Lost, hand set in London by Alfred Royce. Printed on vellum with red and gold initials and bound in full Morocco.
I've read it.
Of course. But to a lover of fine printing, now, here. Just look at this page.
Oh? Page 24. Beautiful, just as clear.
They only printed 200 of these. They sold originally for $700 a copy.
Huh?
Yes, but I was lucky. I picked it up at an auction in London for $560. I robbed him, didn't I?
Yes, like taking pennies from a kid's bank. Fine lot of books you got here, all right.
Oh, I'd forgotten you'd never been in this room. Care to see some of the rest of the house?
Well, I gotta be getting on. By the way.
Yes?
Nothing.
Well, you don't have to go just yet. Let me show you around.
Well, for a minute.
And here is my gun room.
Oh, yes. Gun room?
Another of my hobbies. The really old pieces I keep in the glass case here. Now, see that big fellow there on the end? That's a Spanish blunderbuss from the 18th century. Hand-carved barrel.
Will it shoot?
Well, I hate to try it. Now, the gun on the right is an old flintlock musket. My pistols and rifles are over here.
Say, this is a regular arsenal. You're not expecting any...
No. But I dare say I could give a pretty good account of myself if necessary. Now, this is a Derringer, early 19th century. Devilish-looking little thing, isn't it?
Yes. Let's go back to the library.
No, we'll go back to the library later. First, I want to show you the billiard room. You've got to see that.
Don't tell me you've got a billiard table.
Yes, I say billiards is really a gentleman's game.
Well, I can't seem to get the hang of it. Ever play any pool?
No, I never cared for pool. Do you like it?
No, billiards is the game for me.
Well, drop over any evening you care to play.
Yeah, I might just do that. Who do you play with generally?
Oh, no one in particular. I haven't played a great deal of billiards since I lived in London. I belonged to a club in London where I got very fond of it.
Oh, is that so? Speaking of clubs, Mr. Bullard,
Yes?
Nothing.
Yes, London's a great place for clubs. Now, this was a place in Jermyn Street. Been standing right there in the same spot for over 200 years.
Oh, pretty exclusive district around there?
A lot of fine clubs. In this club, they had 6 or 8 billiard tables, several card rooms, and many's the afternoon I've seen £5,000 change hands in that card room.
Say, that's a fortune.
Yes, but they're such gentlemen you could hardly tell who'd won and who'd lost. Of course, one afternoon, a fellow shot himself afterward.
Oh, a winner or a loser?
A loser, yes. Brilliant young fellow he was, but wild as the devil. Youngest son of a duke.
Oh, a duke, yeah. Must have been a terrible shock to his father.
Frightful. The whole club was in mourning for a week. But club life is a fine thing.
Oh, you bet.
The spirit of good sportsmanship.
Yes, sir.
The feeling of loyalty and companionship between real gentlemen.
Yes.
I miss club life. I don't suppose there are any men's clubs here in Summerfield, are there, Gildersleeve?
Huh?
I say, are there any men's clubs here in Summerfield?
No, Mr. Bullard. There isn't a single one. Wait a minute, fellas. Wait a minute. I tried to ask him. I started several times to ask him, and then each time something would come up that I couldn't.
Well, of all the chicken-hearted fellas to send on a simple errand.
Watch out who you're calling chicken-hearted, you old goat.
Why, what's trouble? Couldn't you get him around to the subject?
Well, we got to the subject, all right. We talked about clubs for quite a while.
What a cinch. Just say, speaking of clubs, Mr. Bullard, there's a little spot where I and a few of my friends hang out. Like to have you drop around sometime.
It wouldn't have worked, Floyd.
Well, I'm blessed if I see why.
Why didn't you ask him, Commissioner?
Because he's too good for this crummy joint, that's why.
Well, I'll be darned.
What makes him think he's such a much? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's not his idea necessarily, Floyd. It's my opinion.
You mean you think he's too good for us?
If you put it that way, yes.
Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, shut up and listen for a minute. Bullard has a house full of first editions, fine bindings. He has a dog that costs $300. He has a gun collection that must be worth thousands. He's a fellow that's used to gracious living. He can't hang around a club like this. It wouldn't be right.
Is this Bullard too good to associate with a judge of the probate court? Judge Hooker's a pretty high-class fella.
Thank you, Floyd.
Chief of police, one of the highest jobs in this town, and a useful man to know.
Thank you.
And what's the matter with Peavy? Runs as nice a drugstore as you'd want to see.
And Floyd, he's got the only barber shop in the south end of town.
Yeah.
I know, fellas. You just don't understand. Bullard's been in high-class clubs in London with dukes and gentlemen.
You ask me, Gildy, this fellow's nothing but a big snob.
He is not. He's a mighty nice man to know.
If you ask me, our water commissioner's getting to be a snob himself.
Don't call me a snob, Floyd. You fellas wouldn't know how to treat a high-class fella like Bullard anyway.
All right, go treat him then.
Yeah, go ahead. We don't need you around here.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve's a jolly boy.
I'm not sure he is, Chief. Not if he considers himself and his friends too good for us. Go on, go play pool with Bullard.
All right, I will.
Can you imagine that? Just for a pool table.
It's not a pool table. It's a billiard table. Billiards is a gentleman's game.
The great Gildersleeve will be back in just a moment.
Do you have a big Thanksgiving dinner at your house, Mr. Lang?
Indeed we do. Turkey with all the trimmings. And when Mrs. Lang planned her menu, I dropped a broad hint for some of those wonderful baking powder biscuits she serves on special occasions.
Well, we prefer Parker House rolls or muffins.
Well, it's a sure bet that hot breads of all kinds are popular on Thanksgiving menus. And, of course, everyone knows a delicious spread makes hot biscuits, rolls, and muffins taste extra good. That's why I always like to suggest that you serve them with parquet margarine.
Why, that's our favorite spread, Mr. Lang. We always use parquet margarine. My husband likes parquet better than any spread we've ever tried.
And I can well understand that, because parquet margarine's fresh, dairy-like flavor is still unmatched. So this week, when you're shopping for those good foods to serve during the Thanksgiving season, be sure to buy parquet margarine, the spread that tastes so good. That's Parkay. Delicious, economical parquet margarine, made by the Kraft Foods Company. I'm sure you'll like it, because millions prefer parquet margarine to any other brand. Now let's get back to our story. It's Saturday night, and Saturday night is the Jolly Boys' night to howl. But a voice is missing. For the first time in many weeks, Gildersleeve is not to be found with his old associates. Gildersleeve this evening has hurried through dinner, stuffed a pocket with expensive cigars, and set out to take advantage of Bullard's invitation to drop in any time. Scarcely 24 hours have passed, and here he is, dropping in.
Oh. Hello, Craig. Is your father in?
Where's Leroy?
Leroy? Well, he's at home, I guess. Tell your father, will you, Craig, that Mr. Gildersleeve is here?
Craig, get away from that door. Come upstairs.
Who's that?
My nurse. She stinks. Craig?
You'd better answer her, hadn't you?
Why should I? Where's Leroy? I want him to come over.
Well, Leroy can't just now, I'm afraid, Craig. Run up and tell your father he has a caller, will you?
Craig, shut that door and come up to bed. There's a man here.
Yeah. Tell her it's Mr. Gildersleeve. It's Mr. Gildersleeve from across the street.
Well, there's nobody home.
Oh, well, Mr. Bullard will be back, maybe. I'll just amuse myself in the billiard room while...
There's nobody home.
Yes, you said that. He said I might use his billiard table any time, so if you don't mind, perhaps...
He didn't say anything to me.
Guess he didn't. Fine way to treat a man. Invite him to use your billiard table, then sick the nurse on him. Oh, well. Now what'll I do? Saturday night. Only 7:30. Can't just go home and go to bed. Besides, it's Saturday night. No, I won't go down there. But what can I do? Oh, you Saturday night. Here she comes. Boo! Surprise.
Oh, it's you.
Well, aren't you surprised to see me, Leela?
No, I suppose you'd be around sooner or later.
Oh, is that so? Well, get your things on, Leela. We're going places Saturday night.
I'm sorry. I have a previous engagement which I'm just about to make.
But, Leela...
It's time you learned, Throckmorton. I have better things to do than sit here and wait for you to turn up. And it's time you learned there's more to courting a lady than just whistling at her.
Some Saturday night. Now, what am I going to do? What is there to do? Nope, I will not go down there. Suppose I could stroll down to the drugstore, see what's doing there. No, I'm always hanging around there. Won't go there either. Well, I guess all that leaves is home. What a town. Saturday night at home.
were out for the evening.
Yes, well, I changed my mind, Marjorie. You going somewhere, my dear?
Over to Francie's. She has some of the gang coming in.
Oh, well, have a good time.
Thanks.
Oh,
Yes?
you wouldn't care to stay home and play a quiet game of dominoes or something with your old uncle, I suppose.
Unky, I'd love to. I'd just love to. But I promised Francie and the gang, and I wouldn't want to disappoint them. Ask me another time, will you?
Yes, yes. Run along. Have a good time.
Thanks.
Oh,
Yes?
where's your brother? What's he doing?
Leroy? Oh, he's going to the movies, if he hasn't already gone. Oh, here he comes now.
Yes. Well, Leroy, you're dressed up for once.
Yeah.
My boy, how would you like it if your old uncle went to the movies with you?
Well, I wasn't going to the movies exactly. Bertie was going to take me to hear Famous Jones and his orchestra at the Majestic. Hey, Bertie, it's 10 after. I'm coming.
Now, wait a minute, my boy. I thought you and I might just stay home together tonight and have a good game of dominoes.
You kidding?
Come along, Leroy. Lock that front door and let's go out the back way.
Then if we stayed home tonight, why, next Saturday I'd take you to that football game you've been wanting so much to go to. How would that be?
Well,
Leroy, you coming?
Of course, it's up to you, my boy. You get your choice. The movies with Bertie this evening or the football game with me next Saturday. Makes no difference to me, one way or the other.
well, if it makes no difference to you, Unc, I think I'll go with Bertie.
All right, go on then. Go on, all of you. Leave me alone here all by myself. I'm nobody. I just pay the bills around here, that's all.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Hello, Peavy.
Yeah, that's just about giving you up for this evening.
I'm just about giving myself up.
How do you mean?
Peavy, have you ever tried spending an evening alone? Worst darn thing in the world.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, it's terrible. That's why I came down here, to have somebody to talk to.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was planning to close up here a little early so that I could stop by the Jolly Boys Club on the way home.
Oh, well, in that case.
How does it happen you're not over there this evening, Mr. Gildersleeve? You always seemed pretty faithful.
I couldn't make it.
Oh. Well, if you'd care to stop by there with me now.
Yeah, I think I'd better not, thanks.
Well, shoot yourself, but you said you wanted somebody to talk to.
Well, truth of it is, Peavy, I've had a little falling out over there with some of the less desirable element.
Talking about Floyd?
Well, him and some others.
Chief Gates?
Him, too.
Hooker?
Uh-huh.
That leaves you and me. Well, these little differences of opinion are bound to occur, I'd say, even among Jolly Boys.
It was more than a difference of opinion, Peavy. Floyd called me a big, fat snob. There's no difference of opinion about that. Well, is there?
What did you call Floyd, Mr. Gildersleeve?
I didn't call him a thing. Not a thing.
You gave him no provocation?
None whatever.
He just walked in and said, "Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve, you big fat snob, huh?"
Well, I may have made some trifling reference to his social standing.
That's what I say. Now, why not let bygones be bygones? I'm sure if you come over there with me now and everybody apologizes...
That's one thing I'll never do. Apologize.
All right, don't. Just come over there with me.
Let him come over here.
I'm closing up here.
Well...
You just come along and leave everything to me, Mr. Gildersleeve, and I'll see if I can't straighten it all out.
Well, all right, Peavy. But remember, I won't apologize.
Coming up, Mr. Gildersleeve?
I'll wait down here.
What for?
You go up and see how the land lies, Peavy. That's a good fellow. I'll wait down here.
Yeah.
Call me if it's all right.
Well, if it ain't the thief.
Welcome, stranger.
My friend.
I suppose they're hashing me over up there now. I don't know that I like this. What are they taking so darn long about? Can't keep me waiting down here like a lackey. Wonder what a lackey is. Had a good mind to walk out and leave 'em flat. After all, I didn't want to come over here in the first place. This has been about long enough, by George. Gosh, you don't think they'd blackball me?
Commissioner, you down there, pal?
I hear you calling me.
Come ahead, the coast is clear.
You called me when the moon had veiled her light. Before I went from you into the night, I came. Do you remember? Hi, fellas.
Evening, Throckmorton.
Floyd? Hi. Hi.
Come in, Commissioner. Join the happy throng.
Thank you, Chief.
Now, we've been talking it over here, Commissioner. The pros and the cons. Floyd has got something he wants to say to you. Go ahead, Floyd. Say it.
Yes, Floyd. Say it.
Well, Commissioner, I'm sorry if I got a little out of line here the other night. The fact is, I didn't say what Peavy says I said.
I only told him what you told me.
You said, Floyd, that I was a big, fat snob.
I never said you were fat. Everybody knows that.
Floyd.
I didn't come down here, gentlemen, to be re-insulted.
Floyd, now apologize nice, like you said you would.
Go ahead, Floyd.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. I don't know what come over me. I could bite my tongue off. Well, ain't that good enough?
I think that's very handsome, Floyd. Commissioner?
Well, maybe it was my fault a little too, Floyd, now that I come to think of it.
You old swindler.
You old horse thief.
Oh, that's the stuff. My golly, it does my heart good to hear you talk like that. What say we shake hands all around, eh?
I'm game.
Shake, Gildy.
Shake, shake.
There is a tavern in the town,
And there my true love sits him down, and breaks his wine with laughter free, and never, never thinks of me. Oh, thinks of me.
We'll hear from the great Gildersleeve again in just a few moments. During the Thanksgiving and holiday season, there's usually a little strain on the family food budget. So on your shopping trips now, I imagine most of you ladies have an eye out for the best values in food. And when it comes to spreads for bread, one of the best values I know of is delicious Parquet margarine. Parquet is only about half the price of costly spreads, and it provides your family with such rich, wholesome nourishment. Parquet is one of the best energy foods you can serve, and it's fortified with important vitamin A. And as for flavor, Parquet is preferred by millions because it tastes so good on bread, toast, rolls, and waffles. So if you want to make a real saving on a quality food, buy this nourishing spread that tastes so good. Parkay. Parquet margarine, made by Kraft.
He said I'd be back, and he was right. Good night, everybody.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Perry. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meekin. This is John Lang speaking for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
Ladies, here's how to be ready at the drop of a hat with sandwiches, snacks, and appetizers. Keep a package of delicious Pabstet cheese food in your refrigerator. Pabstet is ready in a jiffy, can be served 100 different ways. It spreads, melts, slices, toasts to perfection. Any way you serve it, any time you serve it, your family and guests are sure to like Pabstet's mellow cheddar cheese flavor. Pabstet comes in two popular varieties, golden cheddar and pimento. So head up your shopping list with delicious Pabstet cheese food.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
The
Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Perry, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of Parquet margarine and a complete line of famous quality food products. Thanksgiving weekend. Each year at this season, the good citizens of Summerfield make a pilgrimage of some 30 miles to witness the annual football classic between State University and the Aggies. And in the whole of Summerfield, there is no one more determined to go this year than Gildersleeve's nephew, Leroy. For weeks, he has been hammering away at it.
Hey, Unc, if I do the dishes tonight, can I go home? Can I? How about it? Can I?
No.
No, Marjorie.
Nobody asked you.
Uncle Mort, if he goes to that game, I shall just die.
Oh, why?
Because Marshall's coming home for the weekend, and he's taking me. And all Leroy wants to do is spy on us.
Boy, that's a cheap thrill. You think I'd be looking at you when I can be watching a football game?
Uncle Mort, don't let him go. You can't. You simply can't.
Now, my dear, I think that's for me to decide.
That's telling her.
I don't see why Leroy hasn't just as good a right to go to the game as you.
You hear that?
After all, I think you might consider his side of it, too.
Yeah, how about considering my side of it?
You stay out of this.
But, Uncle Mort, this is my only weekend with Marshall since he went away to school. We want to be alone.
Alone? They go to a football game to be alone.
Now, Leroy.
I suppose you'd like everybody else in the stadium to get up and leave. 20,000 people.
Leroy.
I rest my case.
Well, what about it, Uncle Mort?
I shall think it over.
Oh, say yes, please. I'll pay you if you will. I'll give you all the money I've got in my bank.
I'm not subject to bribery, my boy.
Well, I'll do anything you say. Anything at all. How about it?
I told you I shall think it over.
Well, for cat's sake, how long do you have to think?
There are two sides to this question, my boy, as there are to most questions. Now, from Marjorie's point of view, I can see why she wouldn't want to have you tagging along.
Thank goodness.
From your point of view, Leroy, I can see that this game means a great deal to you.
More than anything in the world, I guess. Except you, Unc.
Yes. Well, the only thing I can see to do about it...
Yeah?
I hate to say this, but the only thing I can see to do about it is to take you myself.
You mean you?
Yes, my boy. Much as I dread it, I'll take you to the football game.
Yay! You hear that, Marge? Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes.
Good evening, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, good evening, Bertie.
Is that you, Unc?
Yes, it's me.
Hey, did you get them? Did you get the football tickets? I was a good boy today, Unc. I cleaned up my whole room, even my closet. Did you get good seats? Where are we sitting? Unc, you didn't forget them.
No, Leroy, I didn't forget them, but I'm afraid I have bad news for you just the same. They're completely sold out.
Oh, that's a big jip.
I know, my boy. I know exactly how you feel, but we have to learn to take these little disappointments and make the best of them, don't we?
Gosh, if you didn't have to think it over so long, if you'd gone and got on the ball.
I did the best I could. After all, I'm just as disappointed as you are. It means that I can't go to the game either.
Ha! You didn't want to go in the first place.
That's not true, Leroy. I wanted to go very much.
Yeah.
But there's no use crying over spilt milk, is there? There'll be other games. Some other time, perhaps, eh? Leroy? I want you to believe that I tried, my boy. Why, I even asked Judge Hooker to use his influence. Not that I'd give 2 cents for all the influence he's got.
I should have known. I'd never get there. This is just a terrible day, that's all. It's been a terrible day right from the start. Friday's always a terrible day.
Leroy, honey, what's the matter?
Nothing.
Oh, now don't do that.
Let's not give up hope, my boy. After all, there's still Judge Hooker.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably right.
Every time you say you'll take me to a football game, this is what happens.
Leroy, this is the first time I've ever offered to take you to a football game.
Well, it happened, didn't it? I should have known.
Now, Leroy, you're just tired. Why don't you go up and get ready for bed? And
Let Bertie bring your supper to you up there.
I don't want any supper.
Well, later maybe you will. You run along and I'll be up. I got turkey croquettes for supper.
With mashed potatoes?
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay.
Doorbell, I'll get it.
No, I'll get it, Bertie. Hooker, come in, Judge.
I can't stop, Gildy. I just came by.
Leela, I didn't see you standing back there. Come on in, it's cold.
Well, just for a minute.
We're on our way to dinner. I'm taking Leela to a movie afterward.
Oh, so that's why she was busy tonight. You didn't tell me you were going out tonight with the judge, Leela.
I don't tell everything I know.
I sort of cut you out there, didn't I, Gildy?
Old goat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Careful, my dear, careful. Come in.
Hello, Marjorie. Hello, Mrs. Ransom. I hope I didn't hurt you. Oh, good evening, Judge.
Marjorie.
Oh, don't you look pretty?
Thank you.
Such pink cheeks.
And natural, too. I'll bet you're excited that Marshal Bullard's home.
Oh, he's been home for 2 days. Unky, is it all right if we go skating after supper?
After supper?
It's perfectly safe. There's a big moon out.
I don't know that makes it safe.
Skating in the moonlight. How I'd love to be out there with y'all.
Well, why don't we? We could all make
wait a minute now. Leela and I have a date.
Oh, yes, that. Well, how about tomorrow, then?
But tomorrow's Saturday, Uncle Mort. Marshall and I are going to the game.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell him it's all right about going skating tonight, then.
Well, now, wait a minute. Well, all right.
Thanks, Unky. You're a dear.
Yes, yes.
Oh, to be 16 again instead of pushing 30. Football games, skating in the moonlight. I used to love football games. We used to drive up to Atlanta when Georgia played, Georgia Tech. It was such fun. The girls looked all so pretty and the men were all so handsome.
Yeah.
There'd be parties at all the fraternity houses after the game, and a dance at the big hotel there in the evening, and driving back by moonlight.
Come on, Leela. I think it's time we were getting along.
Oh, yes, I suppose it is.
Oh, that reminds me, Gildy. I almost forgot what I stopped here for. I got you that pair of football tickets you asked for.
You got them?
Just leave it to old Judge Hooker. There they are.
Well, that's fine. Are they any good?
Are they any good? Why, they're right smack on the goal line.
I don't know whether to thank you or not. But thanks anyway.
Oh, Throckmorton, don't tell me you got tickets for tomorrow's game.
Huh?
And never even told me about it. Aren't you wonderful?
I might point out it was I who got the tickets.
Oh, but it's the thought that counts.
Yes, but Leela, you...
Oh, I think surprises are such fun, don't you? Now, here I wasn't looking forward to a thing tomorrow except washing my hair. And now, all of a sudden, everything's wonderful.
But, Leela,
Imagine me carrying on about how I love football games and all the time you knew. Throckmorton, you devil, you.
Leela, you don't understand.
Don't understand what?
Well, I wasn't exactly planning to,
You mean you were planning to take some other girl?
No, of course not. Gosh, I'd rather take you than anybody. I would have asked you too, Leela, only I didn't think of it till yesterday, and I suppose by this time you'd... Well, the last time I saw you, you bawled me out for always inviting you places at the last minute.
Throckmorton, honey, it's time you learn never to pay a single bit of attention to anything I say. Ever.
Leela, I don't like to hurry you, but it's time that we were getting downtown.
Oh, yes, we must be going.
Yeah, but wait.
We've got to be going, Gildy. I have a reservation for dinner.
You don't need a reservation at Joe's place.
We're not going to Joe's place. Come on, Leela. For heaven's sake, let's get started.
But we haven't settled this.
Oh, well, don't worry. I'll call you first thing in the morning about the plans and all. Good night, and I think you're alive.
What am I going to tell her when she calls?
Morning, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Good morning, Bertie. Leroy?
Hi. I trust you slept well last night.
You can see that I didn't.
You do look a little so-so. Well, you just sit down and I'll bring you a nice...
Phone.
I'll get it.
Where's your sister, Leroy?
She ate her breakfast and scrammed.
I'm coming.
You mean they've started for the football game already?
I suppose so. Lucky bums.
Mr. Gildersleeve's residence.
I'm afraid I know what this is.
Oh, yes, Miss Ransom, he is. It's Miss Ransom, Mr. Gildersleeve, about the game.
Huh?
Ask her if she could hold the wire a minute, Bertie.
He said, could you hold the wire a minute, please? He'll be right here.
Leroy, I want to have a talk with you, my boy.
Okay, shoot.
Swallow that toast and listen. My boy, if by any chance I should be able to get tickets for the game today, mind you, I don't say I can, but if by any chance I should...
Yeah?
And if it turned out that it wouldn't be convenient for me to take you...
What? You promised.
I know, and I'd make it up to you, Leroy, some way. I don't like breaking promises, but if you'd let me off just this once, how about it?
I don't know.
Leroy, please, just this once.
I'd have to think it over.
I'll make it up to you, my boy. I'll do anything you say. How about it?
How you do, Miss Ransom? Oh, just fine. You'll be right here. Mr. Gildersleeve, she's waiting.
Leroy, stop eating that toast and answer me. I'm sorry, my boy, but I told you I'll do anything if you let me off.
Ought to be a pretty good game. I'd sure like to see it.
Anything, Leroy. Anything at all.
Anything?
Anything.
Okay.
You'll never regret this, my boy. You'll never regret it. I only hope I won't.
Hello, Piggy. Leroy, the kid himself. Boy, oh boy, Pig, have I got Unc where I want him. What a character. You know what he did? He told me
The great Gildersleeve will be back in just a moment. After a friendly game of bridge the other night, we all dropped into the kitchen to kibitz a bit while Mrs. Lang was preparing some sandwiches. And as she was spreading the bread with parquet, one of the guests said to me,
So that's the parquet margarine I hear you talking about, John, on the Gildersleeve show.
That's the genuine article, the one and only parquet margarine.
Well, if it's as good as you say it is,
Well, the best way to find out is to taste it right now. Ah, here we are. The first sandwiches are ready.
Thank you.
Now, there's flavor for you. Flavor that's fresh and sweet. Am I right?
It's delicious.
It's the fine, wholesome farm products that make parquet taste so good. And you know, friends, you'll have the same satisfying taste experience the very first time you spread parquet margarine on bread, toast, rolls, pancakes, and waffles. I'm sure you'll agree with the millions who prefer parquet margarine, that it's still unmatched for flavor. And it costs so little to enjoy parquet. Only about half the price of costly spreads. That's Parkay. Parquet margarine. Made by the Kraft Foods Company. Now let's get back to the great Gildersleeve. With a blonde on one arm, a buffalo robe over the other, and a brand new bucket hat perched on his head, Gildersleeve looks the complete American college boy, 20 years out of college. We join him now as he and Leila Ransom stroll past the State University campus toward the stadium where the big game is soon to begin.
Aren't we having fun, Throckmorton?
Yeah, you bet.
You know something? Walking around a college town like this makes me feel like I'm 18 again.
Oh, you look 18, Leila. And I'll tell you something else. I don't feel a day over 22. Let's skip, I dare you.
Oh, Throckmorton, with all these boys and girls going by.
What do we care? Come on, let's skip.
It's Marjorie and Marshall Bullard. Yoo-hoo!
Well.
Hi, saw you up ahead there, Unky. Hello, Mrs. Ransom. You remember Marshall, don't you?
Indeed, I do. It's nice you could come home for the holiday, Marshall.
Thanks. How are you, Mrs. Ransom? Mr. Gildersleeve?
Just fine, my boy.
Unky, where did you get that bucket hat?
This hat? Well, I got it at the Summerfield Men's Toggery. What's the matter with it?
Oh, nothing. It just looks kind of collegiate.
That's not what the college men are wearing this year, Mr. Gildersleeve.
That's immaterial to me, son. I needed a hat in case of rain.
Well, I think he looks very cute in it. Although if you pulled it a little farther forward,
Like this?
it was better the other way.
It's nuts.
Marshall, I do believe you've grown just in the few months you've been away.
Put on 15 pounds. Been playing a little football.
Oh, speaking of football, shouldn't we be...
You seem to be in such a hurry, Throckmorton. Why don't we all go somewhere and have a bite to eat first?
Well, Marjorie and I are going over to the Beta Newhouse for lunch. That's my father's fraternity.
Well, you kids go on and have lunch. Maybe we'll see you at the game.
Look for us, Unky. Marshall got seats right on the 50-yard line.
The 50? Well, we're not far from there. See you later.
Bye. I wish we didn't have to sit way down by the goal line, Throckmorton.
Well, I'll see what I can do. But it's pretty late. I wonder how that Bullard kid got seats on the 50.
I suppose he got them through his father.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, by George, I'll go to the box office and tell them who I am. Don't worry, Leela. We'll wind up with the best seats in the place. Pardon me, madam. I'd like to exchange these seats, please. They're in the section 32. I'd like something on the 50-yard line. Yes, very funny. Perhaps you didn't understand me. I want to exchange these tickets for a pair on the 50-yard line.
Oh, run along, buddy. Nothing doing.
Wait a minute. It just so happens I'm a public official. I'm the water commissioner down in Summerfield.
Water? I hear it's good to wash in.
Don't get smart. Are you going to sell me tickets or not?
Look, we've been sold out since the 10th of September. Now beat it.
Then why are you open?
For next year.
Oh! Wise guy ought to report it. Why don't you look where you're going?
Say, buddy, you really want 2 and a 50 like you said?
I sure do. Have you got 2?
Not so loud.
Oh?
50-yard line, 35th row. And, seeing it's so late, well, I'll let you have them for $20 apiece.
Why, that's robbery.
$20 apiece? Pardon me, mister. I thought you were a big shot.
Oh, I am. Here, give me the tickets. Being a big shot is kind of expensive.
Look, honey, the band down there on the field. They're getting ready to spell out something.
Say, look at those uniforms. Welcome, Aggies. Pretty clever.
Throckmorton, aren't we having fun?
You bet. Why don't the teams quit practicing? They've been practicing all season. Let's start the game.
Oh, let me see the program for a minute, Throckmorton. My, look at this picture of the state captain. Isn't he handsome?
Tom Lingenfeller. Certainly looks dumb.
Oh, but look at those shoulders. My.
Probably wearing shoulder pads. I'll tell you something else. A lot of these football players aren't as strong as they look. The Army had to reject the whole flock of them.
I suppose so. But, of course, a girl looks at these things a little differently from the Army. There's Marshall.
Marshall where?
Down there, just 2 rows in front of us. Yoo-hoo!
Hi there.
Oh, why, he's got his arm around Marjorie. Hey there, what do you think you're doing?
Throckmorton.
Cut that out, young man. I'm watching you. And don't grin at me like that.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, Throckmorton. What harm is there in the boy putting his arm around in a public place like this?
Don't tell me it feels just the same in public as it does anyplace else.
Does it really?
You know darn well it does.
Mercy, how would I know?
There, how's that? Marjorie, turn around and watch the game. Third down. This time it looks like they're going to try a pass.
How can you tell, Throckmorton?
By the formation. When one fellow stands back like that.
Was that a pass?
No, it was a punt. They should have passed, though. If they keep punting all afternoon, I don't know how they expect to score.
Is it still 0-0?
Certainly. There they go. Oh, an in run. Stopped him dead in his tracks. That fellow couldn't run around a mailbox.
Oh, what's that whistle for, Throckmorton?
Just stalling for time. Come on, quit stalling down there and play football.
Throckmorton, people are looking at
Let them look.
They're not stalling, mister. Al Stample broke his leg on that last play.
Oh.
Oh, isn't that awful? Look, they're carrying him off. The poor boy.
Stample must have been in bad condition. I told you these football players weren't so husky. Hey, you cold, Leela?
I'm perfectly comfortable, thank you.
That's funny. I'm cold.
Well, to tell you the truth, every time you start to hold my hand, Marshal Bullard turns around and laughs at me.
Oh, he does, eh? That young smart
Now,
aleck.
Throckmorton, he's just a child. Although I must say he seems much better looking than when he went away. Don't you think he is?
I'm watching the game, Leela.
Oh.
2nd and 10. Maybe they'll try a pass this time. Through the line.
How can you tell, Throckmorton? I couldn't see a thing on that play.
When everybody falls down, it's a line play. He gained about a foot.
Well, he tried anyhow, and that's what counts.
Never make a touchdown that way, Leela. Now I suppose they'll kick again. There they go. Kick the ball back and forth. After you, my dear Alphonse. After you, my dear Gaston. Why, George, we don't get some action pretty soon, Leela. I'll go down and complain at the box office. All afternoon they've been playing, and nobody's even tried.
And once again, the ball changed hands in this nip and tuck battle between State University and the Aggies.
Oh, boy.
Believe you me, folks, both these teams are playing heads-up football out here this afternoon.
What a game.
They're lining up again now. State's ball on their own 40-yard line, T formation.
Come on, State. Let's get a touchdown this time.
The ball was snapped to Captain Tom Lingenfelder. He gets the ball and...
Come on, Lingenfelder.
Lingenfelder fades back, takes a lateral to the left, lunges for the hole between right guard and right tackle. He's through. He's away. No, a beautiful tackle came right through and stopped him cold. I tell you, folks, you've never seen football like we're seeing today at Fireman's Field.
Did you hear that, Bertie? Lingenfelder almost got away, but they stopped him cold.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. You want to listen a while, Bertie?
No, thank you, Leroy. You hear your uncle saying anything?
Not yet.
Now it's 4th and 6 for State. Falling back into punt formation. Crowds in the stands are tense as Tom Lingenfelder opens his hands for the ball. He's got it. He kicks.
Back and forth. Nothing happens.
Well, I think it's very exciting, Throckmorton, for a football game. What do you expect?
A pass once in a while. You gods have only tried about 3 and none completed. Hey, Lingenfelder, why don't you try an aerial attack?
Why don't you drop dead?
Oh? Who said that?
I said it.
Oh, you.
Yes, me. These boys are playing swell football, and they don't need any advice from you.
Just a suggestion. Tourist. I paid for my seat, didn't I? I should think that would entitle me to make... Now what? Nothing. You know, Leela, looks like it might rain.
I don't think so, Throckmorton. How can you think such a thing when we're having so much fun?
I don't really think it'll rain. I don't think anything at all is going to happen here this afternoon.
Oh, Throckmorton, honey, I dropped one of my gloves just now. Do you see it anywhere?
Glove? No. Must be down under the seat.
Would you mind looking down there for it? My hands are cold.
Well, if your hands are cold...
Later, darling. But find the glove now for me like a sweet boy, won't you?
Oh, well. Old peanut shells down here. Chewing gum. See. Neil, what happened? Oh, you're jumping up and down on my fingers.
Throckmorton, are you still down there?
Here's your glove. What was all that racket?
Somebody threw a pass and Lingenfelder caught it and made a touchdown.
A touchdown? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I was too excited, Throckmorton, and it all happened so quickly.
The only play of the afternoon.
Oh, Unky, wasn't that a beautiful pass?
Oh, yeah, scrumptious.
Throckmorton.
What's the matter?
felt a drop of rain just then.
Rain, you couldn't have. It's. So did I. It's a cloudburst. What'll we do, Leela?
Maybe it'll stop in a minute. I'll stay if you will, Throckmorton.
Well, I had a slight cold yesterday, and why don't we give up and go home?
I must say, I thought you were more of a sport.
Well, I'm not a sport. Come on, let's get out of here. Pardon me. Pardon me.
What's the matter, mister? No school spirit?
Oh, fool yourself. Soaking wet. Bucket hat. Bucket is right.
Evening, Mr. Gildersleeve. Did you have a nice time at the game?
Don't speak of it, Bertie. Don't speak of it.
Well, it's too bad it had to rain. Maybe a little supper will make you feel better.
I don't even feel like eating. I had a couple of sandwiches half an hour ago.
Well, I'll dish it up anyway.
Unc, is that you? What's the game, Super, Unc?
Super? What game are you talking about, young man?
The State Aggies game, the one you saw. I heard it on the radio. It sure was super.
How do they do it?
Say, Unc, I've decided what I want for a reward for missing it.
Oh, all right, my boy. What is it?
Take me to the state game next Saturday.
Oh, Leroy, anything but that.
The great Gildersleeve will be dropping in at Peavy's drugstore in just a few moments. How are you getting along with your food budget these days? Are your meals pretty expensive? Well, maybe I can give you a little help. There's a very important food you serve at every meal that certainly shouldn't be expensive. And that's the spread you serve with bread, toast, and rolls. Of course, the spread I have in mind is delicious parquet margarine, preferred by millions of families throughout America because it tastes so good. And as for economy, well, it's plain as the price tag in your dealer's store that parquet is only about half the price of costly spreads. And parquet margarine is so nourishing, too. It's one of the finest of all energy foods, and it's fortified with important vitamin A. So for a real value in a quality food that's still unmatched for flavor, buy Parquet, P-A-R-K-A-Y, Parquet margarine, made by Kraft.
Peavy, are you fond of football?
Football, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Yes. Do you like the game?
You mean, do I like to play it?
No. Do you like to watch it? Are you a fan?
Well, Mr. Gildersleeve, I'll tell you how it is about me and football. When I was a young fellow, I lived in Worcester, Massachusetts one year. That fall, I took it into my head to go to the Harvard-Yale game down at Cambridge.
Is all this necessary?
Well, you asked me a question.
I didn't realize you'd have to answer by the way of Worcester, Massachusetts.
Well, if you don't want me to tell you...
No, go ahead, Peavy. You never give a straight answer to a question anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Go ahead.
Well, I've lost the thread now. Why did you want to know if I like football in the first place?
Well, I thought if you did, you might enjoy taking Leroy to the state game next Saturday, if I could get the tickets.
Yeah, so that's it. Mr. Gildersleeve, I am fond of football, but I'm not that fond of it.
I might have known you'd be of no use to me. Good night, Peavy. Good night, everybody.
This is John Lang speaking for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the great Gildersleeve.
Another fine Kraft food product you'll want to add to your shopping list is Kraft Salad Mustard. This creamy golden Kraft salad mustard puts an extra tempting tang into relishes and sandwich spreads, peps up the flavor of deviled eggs, adds extra zest to cheese and meat dishes. And if you like an extra tingle of sharpness, there's another delicious variety in the Kraft line. It's the Kraft mustard with nippy horseradish added. Buy both kinds and please the whole family. Ask for Kraft mustards when you shop tomorrow.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Perry, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of Parquet margarine and a complete line of famous quality food products.
Telephone.
I got it. Miss Gildersleeve's residence. I'm sorry that Miss Gildersleeve isn't up yet. Yes, ma'am, I'm surprised myself. Is there any message? Okay. I sure don't understand it. Mr. Gildersleeve is a man who'd rather eat than sleep any day.
Got any more toast, Bertie? Who was that?
Some lady for your uncle.
Dames. Who was it, Bertie?
I don't know, except it wasn't Miss Ransom or Miss Goodwin.
Well, someone new. He didn't get in till pretty late last night.
Here he comes now. Hi, Unc.
Oh, good morning, Leroy. You aren't thinking of going anywhere in that sweater, I trust.
Sure, why not?
Because it's filthy. Change it. Good morning, Marjorie. Good morning, Bertie.
Morning, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Good afternoon, Unky.
No, my dear.
Your lady friends have already been phoning you.
Lady phone? Who?
I don't know, Mr. Gildersleeve, except it wasn't one of the regulars.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean by that expression, Bertie.
She means it wasn't Mrs. Ransom or Miss Goodwin.
Oh, did you tell her I was out, Bertie?
No, sir, I told her you was asleep.
That might give people a bad impression, Bertie. If it was my secretary down at the office, for instance, she might... Well, it wouldn't be good for her morale.
No, sir. You want some practice, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Yes, Bertie, I'm good and hungry.
And don't forget some more toast, Bertie.
I ain't forgotten, Leroy.
Marjorie, I'd like to see the morning paper if you're through with it.
Almost, Unky.
Why, it was pretty late when you came in last night, Unc.
How did you happen to be awake?
I wasn't. Not till you tripped over something in the hall.
Yes, I tripped over your football, my boy. I've told you not to leave that thing lying around where people can fall over it.
Oh, sorry, Unc. Where'd you put it? I need it this morning.
I put it where no one will ever trip over it again for some time.
But, Unc!
I've warned you often enough, my boy.
Oh, gosh. Whenever he stays up late, this is the way.
Here's the paper, Unky. Look, I want to show you something. On the society page.
I'm not interested in the society page.
You will be. Listen to this. Music lovers in Summerfield will have a rare treat next Saturday when the Wings of Song Opera Company makes a special benefit appearance here.
Oh, let me see that. The event is being sponsored by the exclusive Summerfield Women's Club in conjunction with the sponsors committee of other socially prominent citizens. Box parties are already being planned, and the whole affair promises to be one of the top events of the season for the Summerfield elite.
What does elite mean, Unc?
Means a bunch of stuffed shirts, my boy. Well, they can have their opera.
But, Unky, you don't want to miss this.
I'm evidently not socially prominent enough to be on the committee.
That's no reason you shouldn't go and enjoy the music.
I wouldn't enjoy it if I went. Opera in Summerfield can't possibly be any good.
I don't see why not. It's a regular opera company.
There are good opera companies and bad opera companies, my dear. To distinguish between them requires rare musical judgment. Now, who has selected this opera company? Mrs. Pettibone, the president of the Women's Club. She never heard an opera in her life. Now, if they'd seen fit to consult with me, but no. Oh, no. Mr. Gildersleeve isn't quite la-di-da enough to be on any opera committee. Oh, mercy, no.
Jeepers, what's he all excited about?
I'm perfectly calm, my boy. I'm a little disappointed, I'll admit. There are people in Summerfield who think more of so-called ancestry than they do of real worth, that's all. I happen to believe that opera should be enjoyed by everybody, not simply by the favored few.
I still don't see why you can't just buy a ticket.
Because I'm not the kind of a person who likes to horn in where he isn't wanted.
You mean just because you're not on the committee, you won't go to the opera?
Oh, that has nothing whatever to do with it. The opera won't be any good, I'll tell you that. Some small-time company I never heard of. Any opera company that would come to Summerfield must have something to hide.
I got it, Mr. Gildersleeve. Mr. Gildersleeve's resident. Yes, ma'am. He's been up, about 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh, Bertie.
Yes, ma'am. I'll call him. Mr. Gildersleeve, I think it's the same lady.
Bertie, you don't have to tell people I'm asleep, and you don't have to tell them how long I've been up. Hello. Oh, yes, Mrs. Pettibone. Yes, I read about it in this morning's paper. Me? A sponsor? I'm pretty busy, Mrs. Pettibone. But of course, where opera is concerned, I'll be glad to help. You bet. Any time at all. Not at all, Mrs. Pettibone. Thank you. Oh, solo mio. Da, 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 da.
What a character.
You children have to hurry and get out of here now. Mrs. Pettibone and Mrs. Bullard are coming over to consult me about the opera.
I'll get right out, Unc. I could play outdoors if I knew where my football was.
It's in the laundry hamper upstairs.
Gee, thanks, Unc. I'll do the same for you sometime.
Yes, yes. Oh, solo mio, da 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 da. Just sit down any place, ladies. Sofa, Mrs. Pettibone?
This chair is very comfortable, thank you.
Then I'll try the sofa.
Fine, Mrs. Bullard. Shove over a little. I can't tell you ladies how enthusiastic I am about this opera thing.
I knew you would be. I said to Mrs. Bullard, Mr. Gildersleeve is one man I know we can count on, I said. Didn't I say that, Mrs. Bullard?
She certainly did, Mr. Gildersleeve. She sang your praises. She said you're a man that knows and appreciates music.
Well, I happen to have, I've had a little musical training.
Mr. Gildersleeve sings, Mrs. Bullard. Did I tell you Mr. Gildersleeve sings?
Oh, I've heard him from across the street.
I'm afraid sometimes I forget myself. That is, I forget what a big voice I have. You need a big voice in opera, of course.
Mr. Gildersleeve, don't tell me you sung opera.
Well, I appeared in one or two productions at college. What opera is the company going to present?
Well, that's up to the committee to decide. We'll want your advice on that, of course, as one of the sponsors.
Oh, at your service, ladies.
Which opera do you prefer, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Well, they're all good.
I think we can decide that later, Mrs. Bullard. There's another problem that we have to consult Mr. Gildersleeve about.
Yes?
Since this is for charity, we've got to make it a success.
Oh, it will be.
If it is, it'll be due to the efforts of a handful of men like yourself, Mr. Gildersleeve. We are not asking many sponsors.
Is that so?
Oh, very few, Mr. Gildersleeve. But your name is so well known.
Well, everybody sees it on their water bill once a month. Say, how would it be if I sent out a little notice about the opera along with my December statements?
I don't think that would be quite appropriate.
Why not? Good way to sell tickets.
Oh, we won't have any trouble selling tickets. People are going to be fighting for tickets. After all, Summerfield has never had an opera.
I see. How much are the tickets?
$5 apiece.
$5 apiece?
Yes, you see our problem, Mr. Gildersleeve. The tickets are so ridiculously cheap that everybody will want to come. Isn't it silly?
It certainly is.
But we've thought of a way around it. All our sponsors are taking 15 tickets apiece. That's $75 worth.
But I only have a niece and nephew. I doubt if my nephew cares much for opera.
Oh, no. You sell the tickets to your friends, Mr. Gildersleeve. Just your best friends. You see, that way we can keep the tickets in the hands of the desirable element.
Oh, well, I'll be glad to call up a few people and...
Of course. But the sponsors take the tickets in advance. That'll be $75, Mr. Gildersleeve, and if you'll just write us out a check.
Check? You mean now?
Well, if it wouldn't be too much trouble.
Oh, no trouble. Only,
Yes?
Nothing. Let's see. Checkbook. Where is it?
Make it out to Earl Lewis, Wings of Song Opera Company, Mr. Gildersleeve.
I see. Earl Lewis, Wings of Song Opera Company. Where am I going to get rid of 15 tickets, I wonder? 75 and hundreds. 15 tickets. Do I know 15 people that like opera? Do I know 15 people with $5? P. Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Howdy, Peavy.
How's things down at the waterworks?
Gosh, I haven't even thought about the waterworks. I've been so busy with the opera. Just dropped in to check up on these tickets I left with you.
Oh, don't worry about those, Mr. Gildersleeve. I got them right here. I put them in the cash drawer for safekeeping.
But have you sold any?
No, Mr. Gildersleeve, I haven't. To tell you the truth, there doesn't seem to be much demand for them.
Well, it's like anything else, Peavy. You have to create the demand. You have to sell them.
I know, but just the same, I wonder if you haven't picked the wrong outlet here.
Why?
Well, in all the years I've been in the pharmacy business, I can't recall that anyone has ever come in here and asked for opera tickets. People come in and ask for a lot of things. I had a woman come in and ask for 12.5 skate keys once. Never told me what she wanted them for.
Skate keys at a drugstore? Why, that's ridiculous.
Yes, it is. It was just by the merest chance that I happened to have them. But as I say, I never had anybody ask for opera tickets. Of course, there hasn't been any opera.
Yes. Well, you can't wait for people to ask you for them, Peavy. You've got to ask them.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. The reason you haven't sold any tickets is you haven't tried.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. If you ask me, the reason I haven't sold any is... Well, I don't like to say this, but I wonder if you haven't set the price a little high, $5.
I didn't set the price, Peavy. That's what they cost. I'm not making anything on this, you know.
I know, but $5. That's $10 if you take the wife. And what man would go to an opera if it wasn't for his wife?
That's not the attitude, Peavy. You're not supposed to enjoy this. It's for charity.
That's what I say. What charity?
What's that?
I say, what charity is it being given for?
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know that that's been settled yet. But it'll be a worthy one, yes.
Pardon me, just a moment. Customer.
Don't forget about the tickets.
Good morning, Mrs. Hornberg.
Good morning, Mr. Peavy.
Fine day.
Yes, it is. Oh, is this gentleman ahead of me?
Oh, no. Go right ahead. I'm just waiting. Don't forget, Peavy.
What can I do for you, Mrs. Hornberg?
I'd like some aspirin, please.
Aspirin. Any particular brand?
Well, which is best?
Well, they're all monoacetic acid ester or salicylic acid.
They're all what?
They're all aspirin.
Peavy, the tickets.
Keep your shirt on.
You mean there's no difference between any of them?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I think I'll just take this one.
A very wise choice. That'll be 10 cents and 1 cent for the governor. Will there be anything else, Mrs. Hornbeck?
Peavy.
No, I think that's all, thank you.
Any razor blade? Shaving lotion? Cod liver oil?
No, thank you.
Peavy.
Vitamin tablet? We have a special on bath salts.
Well, no,
You wouldn't want any tickets to the opera, would you?
No, I think that's... Did you say opera tickets?
Just a suggestion. I didn't really think you would.
Oh, my goodness.
There's your package, Mrs. Hornbeck. Thank you very much, and call again. There, you see, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Peavy, you take the cake. By George, you couldn't sell mittens at 60 below zero.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Give me back my tickets. I'll sell them myself.
And we'll find out how the great Gildersleeve sells the tickets in just a moment.
Mr. Lang, before you say anything about parquet margarine, do you generally have a big breakfast at your house?
Well, we usually have a substantial breakfast.
Most of my friends say breakfast at their house is such a hectic affair. Everybody sort of eats and runs.
Yes, I expect that's true with a lot of people. But I think you'll find that a great many of our go-getting Americans have learned that they need the nourishment a hearty, hot breakfast provides.
Well, I wish I could get that idea across in my home.
Well, then I'd suggest that you make each breakfast as tempting as possible by serving hot breads or pancakes, or, of course, the old standby toast. And to make any kind of bread you serve taste extra good, I'd recommend parquet margarine as the spread. Parquet is preferred by millions as a spread for bread because of its unmatched flavor. And it's one of the most nourishing foods you can serve. It's rich in food energy value, and it's fortified with important vitamin A. So get your family off to a right start at breakfast by serving delicious, nourishing Parquet. That's Parkay. Parquet margarine, made by Kraft.
Hello, Mrs. Finley? This is Mr. Gildersleeve, Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. You probably don't know me, Mrs. Finley, but I'm calling with regard to the forthcoming opera benefit, of which you have undoubtedly heard, and of which I have the honor to be one of the sponsors. Your name has been given to me, Mrs. Finley, as one of the... Oh, you're a sponsor yourself. Well, how's it going? Me too. Well, good luck.
Uncle Mort, what are the chances of somebody else getting at that phone?
Not now, my dear. Give me another name from the book, Leroy.
We haven't had much luck with the F's. You want to try the G's?
I'll try anything.
But, Uncle Mort, you've been on the phone for hours.
The way it's going, I'll be on it for days.
But I've got to do my homework.
Well, go do it. Pick a name, Leroy.
But I've got to call Francie. It's algebra.
You're not going to do your algebra on my telephone.
Well, how can I do it if I can't call Francie?
Do it in your head. How does anybody else do it? Next name, Leroy?
Flack, E.J. Summerfield 0859.
Flack. Summerfield 0859. Don't stand there making faces at me, Marjorie. Go do your... hello. Yes. Hello, Mrs. Hold the wire a minute, please. Leroy, what was that name?
Flack.
Huh?
I think it was Flack. Maybe it was Flake. Or Fluke.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Mrs. Flack. This is Mr. Gildersleeve, Throckmorton Gildersleeve. You probably don't know me, Mrs. Flack, but I'm calling with regard to the forthcoming opera benefit, of which you've undoubtedly heard, and of which I have the honor to be one of the sponsors. Your name has been given to me. Mrs. Fluke is one... Oh, you too, huh? Sorry to have bothered you. How can anybody sell opera tickets if everybody's going to be a sponsor?
Doorbell. It's Judge Hooker.
Oh, what does he want? Just when I'm... Wait a minute. Let the dear judge in, my dear. Let him come right in.
Hello, Judge.
Good afternoon, Marjorie.
Horace, my old friend, welcome to our humble abode. Take the judge's coat there, my dear. Horace, I'm certainly glad to see you.
Well.
Leroy, get out of that chair. Sit down, old fellow. Sit down.
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'll stand up, Gildy. No, thank you, Marjorie. I won't take off my coat.
Sit down, stand up, take off your coat, roast to death, suit yourself. This is Liberty Hall here. We want to please you.
Marjorie, how long has he been like this?
Since birth, I guess.
Horace, my friend, how much money have you got on you?
None of your business. Why?
Horace, my friend, much as I esteem you, I've always felt that there's one facet of your education that's been woefully neglected, and that is music.
What bush are you beating around now?
And if there's one field of music in which you're particularly ignorant, it's opera. Now, I am so fortunate as to have in my possession here a few little tickets.
If those are opera tickets.
They are.
And if you were thinking of selling me any.
It was in the back of my mind.
Well, I happen to be the chairman of the opera's committee on arrangements.
Horace, have you sold any of those tickets they stuck you with?
To tell you the truth, Gildy, I've been so busy with all the committee work I haven't even tried. But I anticipate no particular difficulty. I just dropped in to tell you that owing to the many demands upon my time, I may be a little late for the Jolly Boys meeting tonight.
Oh, I'd forgotten there was one.
You're going, aren't you?
I don't know.
Well, if you do, ask him not to hold up the proceedings for me. Oh, and since you mention it, you might just take these opera tickets of mine and pass them around down there in case any of the members are cared to purchase.
You go sell them yourself, Horace. I've got my own tickets to get rid of.
Huh. Well, I may see you later then, if you decide to go.
Don't worry. I'll be going. You're not going to get down there ahead of me, the old goat.
Floyd, you're the most... Boys! Let's be jolly boys, shall we?
I'm just trying to make myself heard, that's all, Chief.
Well, we heard you.
I say we've got to get behind the opera, fellas. I say we should support it.
Why?
It's for charity, Floyd.
Yeah, I know about charity. Give me another reason.
Well, it's going to be an important function socially. I think if the Jolly Boys were to attend, it would give them a little class.
A little class could ruin this club.
He's got a point there.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing, too. This isn't just a club here. In a way, we're a musical organization.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, you wouldn't, maybe. But Floyd, you're a singer.
Well, I can hold my own, I guess.
You're as sound a tenor as I know.
Gee, thanks, Commissioner.
And the chief here. I don't know where you'd find a better bass.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Of course, the judge ain't here, so we don't have to lie about him.
Yeah, very good, Floyd. So what I say, fellows, as music lovers and the only singing group in Summerfield that's worth a hoot, the Jolly Boys should not only go to the opera, they should attend in a body. How about it?
He's got a point there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all go.
That's the stuff, fellas. Now, I've been able to obtain a few choice tickets, which I happen to have here with me. Coincidence. Let's see. Each of us will want to take a wife or friend, I presume.
Just a minute, Commish. How much are these tickets?
How much are they?
Yeah, how much?
$5.
$5?
$5?
$5 to take the wife to a lousy opera?
$10, Floyd. The tickets are $5 apiece.
You keep out of this, Peavy.
Now, hold on. I'm for charity and all that, but fun is fun.
Yeah.
When I pay out $10, I like to get a little something for my money. Lousy opera.
Have you ever been to the opera, Floyd?
No, and it don't look like I'm going.
Have you, Chief?
No, I can't say that I have.
Peavy?
I told you, Merry Widow.
Yeah. Why, gentlemen, you've missed some of the greatest entertainment in the world.
That ain't what I heard.
Why, it's exciting. It's spectacular. People go miles to see it. Why, in the opera Carmen alone, you know what you get?
What?
Bullfights, duels, parades, love scenes, beautiful senoritas.
Yeah?
Yeah. And through it all, gorgeous melodies. Toreador, oh, Toreador, Toreador, Toreador.
What's the opera about, Commissioner?
Carmen, what's it about?
Yeah.
Well, it's about this girl named Carmen, this beautiful senorita. She's Spanish, see, and she's very ooh-la-la.
That's French.
Well... She's the French type, only she's Spanish.
Oh.
So in comes this fellow who's in love with her. His name is Don somebody, and he's about 6'6". He comes marching in. Toreador, oh, Toreador.
You sang that.
Yeah. Well, he no sooner arrives and start make loving. Well, who wrote this? He no sooner arrives and starts making love to Carmen, who, believe me, fellas, is a dish, really. Then in comes another fella, Don somebody else. Right away, they're jealous. And they whip out their swords and go at it hammer and tongs. Toreador, eh, Toreador.
Is that the only song in the opera?
Let him tell the story, Floyd.
Floyd, don't betray your ignorance. Surely you've heard... Vesti la juba, yo-ho-ho, Pagliacci.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, that's it, Chief.
Why, I've heard that.
Sure, and then there's... Celeste Aida.
Who's Aida?
Friend of Carmen's.
Oh. Celeste Aida. Da, Carmen.
Is that opera? No kidding?
Certainly. Oh, and don't forget Martha.
She another friend?
I guess so.
Martha, Martha, I implore you, leave me not to pine and sigh. Say, Chief, you know that, don't
Why,
you?
I've got a record of that.
Great.
Say, this sounds like a great show.
Oh, it's even better when you see it. Bullfights, fellas, beautiful senoritas, a band of 50 pieces.
Mr. Gildersleeve, are there any elephants?
I wouldn't be surprised, Peavy. It's got everything else.
Now, I always like to see the elephant.
Oh, well. Now, who wants tickets, fellas? How many? Chief?
I'll bite, Commissioner. Give me 2.
That's the stuff. 2 for the chief. Peavy, how about you?
Give me 1 for now. I'll let you know about the other one later.
Great. 1 it is. Floyd, how about it?
I still say $10 is too steep.
Oh, come on, Floyd.
Yes, Floyd. Let's all go.
Well, don't urge him if you don't want to. Just hate to think about what he's missing, that's all those gorgeous melodies. Some think the world was made for fun and frolic, and so do I.
And so do I.
Some like to fret and be all melancholic.
To pine and sigh.
To pine and sigh.
Great. Come on, how about it, Floyd?
Nope.
But I like to spend my time in singing
some joyful song.
Some joyful song.
To set the world with laughter bravely ringing is far from wrong.
Is far from wrong.
Hearken, hearken,
music fills the air. Hearken, hearken, joy is everywhere. Paninkily, panikula, panikily, panikula.
Joy is every... Floyd, I forgot to tell you about the biggest scene in the opera.
What's that?
That's where Carmen and her friend, these two beautiful senoritas, they get into a fight over this fellow. You know, Don somebody?
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's really something to see. They bite, they scratch, they even start to tear each other's clothes off.
Tear each other's... Yeah?
Right before your very eyes. But there's no telling how it might end. Only the dancing girls come in and pull them apart.
Dancing girls? You didn't tell me they had dancing girls.
Oh, hundreds of them.
I'll take 2 tickets.
Joy is everywhere.
Paniculi, panicula.
The great Gildersleeve will be back in just a few moments. A little while ago, I had a few words to say about parquet margarine's fresh, delicate flavor, how it makes all kinds of bread taste so good. And I also pointed out how parquet margarine helps provide your family with fine, wholesome nourishment because it's so rich in food energy and fortified with important vitamin A. Now, another reason why parquet margarine is preferred by millions to any other spread is that it's so economical. Parquet's nourishing goodness and unmatched flavor can be enjoyed by your family for only about half the price of costly spreads. So why pay more? Just try Parquet margarine once and see if you don't prefer it to any other brand. That's Parkay, Parquet margarine, made by the Kraft Foods Company.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's just 1 week left in the Victory Bond Drive. The war is over, but the government needs money to bring our men home from overseas, to provide hospital care for the wounded, to support the wives and children of those who will never return. If the war was worth buying bonds for, surely these vital peacetime needs deserve our help, too. And remember, inflation is still a danger, and the bonds are the best defense against it. So if you haven't bought your Victory Bond yet, do it tomorrow. Will you? Good night, everybody.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Perry. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meakin. This is John Lang speaking for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
You good cooks know it's the seasoning that adds extra zest to foods. That's why there's been such a big swing to Kraft Salad Mustard for pepping up meals. You'll be delighted with the extra flavor tang Kraft Salad Mustard adds to meat, hot vegetable, and cheese dishes, and to gravies, pickle relishes, and barbecue sauce. There's another variety, too, just a bit sharper, and oh so tasty on frankfurters and in sauce for fish. It's the Kraft Mustard with nippy horseradish added. Buy both delicious Kraft prepared mustards when you shop tomorrow.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.